Hi, hello, welcome to all. In this video, we are going to discuss about demand and recovery chapter related information. So here, where GST law contains two categories, that is tax short paid or erroneously refunded or ITC wrongly availed, or non-payment of self-assessed tax or tax amount collected as representing the tax person if you are not a eligible person. So this is demand recovery cases, where if you are tax collected but you are not paid, or non-payment of self-assessed tax, you are assessed but not paid, or tax paid but it is a short paid, or you got the erroneous refund, or ITC wrongly availed. These are five cases are demand recovery cases. In this category, some provisions were provided. Section 74. Here we will discuss mainly section 73 and 74 main sections, and remaining are residuary sections. So as per section 73 and section 74, 73 applicable in normal cases. 74 applicable in case of fraud, collusion, or willful misstatement, or suppression of facts, or contravention with an intention to avoid taxes. That is section 75 will applicable, and section 74 will be applicable. Okay, here what will happen? What is the first stage? Means for demand recovery, they must issue the show cause notice. So for the purpose of show cause notice, as per section 73, when will arise 73 or 73 non-payment, short payment on account reason other than fraud, willful misstatement, or suppression of fact. If it is a fraud, willful misstatement, or suppression, it will go for section 74. So as per section 73, when will issue the show cause notice? It will be issued. The proper officer may issue, before serving of such show cause notice, communicate the details of tax, interest, penalty as ascertained by him in prescribed form to the person chargeable to tax, interest, or penalty. And if the person from that show cause notice, if he has not paid, or he must pay the interest he must pay the tax along with interest as per section 50 notification number 1327 2017, at the rate of 18% will be applicable for interest. This is 18% is interest. Tax along with interest will be collected as per section 73. When first they will issue the show cause notice, or before serving a show cause notice, they will collect the amount of tax plus interest. Okay. Time limit to issue show cause notice. Here time limit for issuing the show cause notice was, the notice should be issued at least 3 months prior to the time limit specified for passing the order determining the amount, tax, interest, penalty payable by the defaulter. For example, this is the year is 2022. As on today, I have committed one default. For this month, this year ending was 31st March 2023. For that financial year return, that is annual return was 31st 12/23. From that day to 3 years will be calculated. So 23 after 24, 25, 26. 31st 12/26. That is order must be passed within 3 years. But before order passed, before 3 months, that is 39/26 must be issue the show cause notice. That is the time limit here provided. That is, the order referred herein has to be passed. Order was passed within 3 years from the due date of furnishing the annual return for the financial year to which the tax not paid or short paid, ITC wrongly availed or utilized related to, or within 3 years from the date of erroneously refund. This is the case. 3 years was calculated from the annual return, due date of furnishing the annual return. Next, the time limit for issuance of show cause notice was 2 years 9 months from the due date of filing of annual return for the financial year to which demand pertains, or for the date of erroneously refunded. This is the cases. First, section 73 was this provided, and after that what they will take, where notice has been issued. Once notice has been issued, then if such person commits such default in some other period, or instead of issuing a detailed notice, they will issue a merry statement or supplementary statement or merry statement. So if any person committed again, they will issue the just a merry statement by avoiding duplicate and reducing the repetitive paperwork. Next, the service of such a statement shall be deemed to be service of show cause notice as such person, subject to the condition that ground relied upon of such tax period. Next, payment of tax before issuance of show cause notice. If you have paid the interest plus tax amount, whatever you have paid, tax plus interest, before issuance of notice, it is emphatically stipulated that such case no notice shall be issued and there shall be no other consequences for the default. So if you pay the amount and within you, they will not issue any show cause notice, they will not require for show cause notice. Next, the person who is chargeable with tax but has not paid, or paid short paid, or wrongly availed or utilized the credit, or has been granted erroneous refund, may voluntarily come forward to pay such tax along with interest before show cause notice issue. Here interest will be calculated as per section 50, that is 18% will be calculated, where such person has made partial payment of the amount communicated to him or desire to file any submission against the proposed liability, he may make submission prescribed form. If you want to go for any appeal, on the show cause notice, you can go, no issue. Next, where such voluntary payment is made, department shall not serve any show cause notice or statement. Next, the option of paying tax and interest before show cause notice, before issuance of show cause notice, so as to avoid the issuance of show cause notice, and penalty is leviable only those cases where any tax has not been paid or shortly paid or erroneously refunded, ITC wrongly availed, utilized for reason other than fraud or willful misstatement or suppression of fact to avoid tax. After the person has voluntarily paid the tax along with interest, if the proper officer is of the opinion that the amount voluntarily paid falls short amount, then payment of tax after issuance of show cause notice. If you are paid before show cause notice, only you are paying only tax plus interest, but if you are paying the amount after issuance of show cause notice, then if you are paid the amount within 30 days from the show cause notice, then also you will pay only interest plus tax amount, no penalty will arise. So before 30 days, before show cause notice, you can pay only tax plus interest. after show cause notice issue you can pay within 30 days, then also only tax plus interest, no penalty. But adjudicating authority where the show cause notice issued to person with chargeable, he may furnish. If you don't want to pay amount, you can go for adjudicating authority. He is not so liable to pay all or part amount. Then he will go for adjudicating order. If you are not paid amount after the show cause notice issue, they will pass the order. Here the penalty will arise. Now the penalty means quantum of penalty will be 10% of tax or 10,000, whichever is higher. So in the case of section 73, only the tax plus interest we will pay. Up to show cause notice within 30 days after the order was passed. Once order was passed, if you have not paid the amount, the order was passed, then you must pay tax plus interest plus penalty. That is the information provided. So you are required to pay within 30 days or after 30 days, then you are required to pay penalty also. What is the penalty amount? That is 10% of tax for 10,000, whichever is higher. That is the case. Next, section 73, they will recover the amount. Next, clarification on levy of penalty under section 73 in case of delayed filing of return. That is issue whether penalty in accordance with section 73(11) should be levied in cases where the return is form GSTR 3B has been filed after the due date of filing of such return. Here clarification was provided that section 73(11) can be invoked only when the provision of section 73 are invoked, and section 73 are general, not invoked in case of delay filing of returns in form GSTR 3B. That is because tax along with applicable interest has already been paid. So whenever you are filing the GSTR 3B late, then you are filing along with interest. So no issue. Then section 73 penalty will not arise. So it is accordingly clarified that penalty under the provisions of section 73(11) is not payable in such cases. It is further clarified that since the tax has been paid late in contravention with the provisions of the CGST, they may arise the general penalty, that is under section 125 may be imposed after the following due process of law. There may be alert the general penalty. What is the amount of general penalty? 10,000 rupees. Next, time limit for passing adjudicating order, that is within 3 years from the due date of furnishing of annual return for financial year to which the tax not paid or short paid, ITC wrongly availed or utilized, or if you get any erroneous refund from that date, passed the order of erroneous order. Next, here section 44 says that what is the annual return due date? That is annual return for financial year need to be filed by 31st December of the next financial year. That is related to section 73. What is there in section 73? Broadly, we are required to pay the tax amount when tax plus interest regularly. If the order was passed after we are paying, then we need to pay tax, interest, penalty. What is the penalty amount? 10% of tax amount or 10,000, whichever is higher. This is the section 73. And next, now section 74. This is the case where non-payment or short payment, erroneously refund or wrongly availment or utilization of ITC on account of any fraud, collusion, willful misstatement, suppression of fact, or any contravention within the intention to avoid tax. Then here the proper officer, same like that above, they will issue show cause notice. But if you are paying any amount, before issuing show cause notice, you can pay the you can pay the means just a minute. First of all, the time limit for issuing the showcase notice was 5 years from the due date furnishing the annual return for the financial year to which tax not paid, short paid, ITC wrongly availed or utilized related to, or within 5 years from the date of erroneous refund. That is, as on date today, I am committed one default. For this financial year end will 31st 3/23. For that this financial year annual return date was 31st 12/23. From there 5 years, that is 31st 12/28. 28 will be the within 5 years. Within 5 years we must complete the order processing. Before that 6 months, we must issue the showcase notice. Prior to time limit 6 months, we must issue the showcase notice. That is, time limit for issuance of showcase notice is 4 years and 6 months from the due date of filing of annual return for the financial year to which the demand pertains or the date of erroneous refund. That is the case. Next, year penalty will be if showcase notice was not issued, you are ready to pay tax amount, then you are required to pay tax plus interest plus penalty. Penalty, what is the penalty? That is 15% of tax amount. 15% of such tax we are required to pay if the showcase notice was not issued and you are only identified on your own. That is the case. Next, if you are paying after showcase notice, once showcase notice was issued, from that showcase notice to within 30 days you have paid the tax amount. Then the penalty was 25% of original tax. 25% of the original tax, whatever the tax amount is there, on the tax amount 25% you require to pay as a penalty. Only penalty, not you require to pay tax, interest, penalty within 30 days. After the issuance of showcase notice, what will happen? Order will be passed. If you have not paid within 30 days from the showcase notice, then adjudicating order was passed. Then after the order, if you are paid, you are going to pay within 30 days. Adjudicating order. Once adjudicating order was passed, then within 30 days of order, if you want to pay, then you are required to pay 50% of penalty, 50% of tax amount as a penalty. So that is the case. 50% of penalty. Next, if the proper officer shall issue the adjudicating order within 5 years, he will must complete within 5 years, the order will close, and that order will close must to provide showcase notice prior to 6 months. At least 6 months will be provided before that. Here section 73-74 or proceedings in respect of said notice shall not include proceedings under section 132 in relation to prosecution, that the person can be prosecuted under GST law even if there is no demand can be raised for tax, interest, penalty. Prosecution is a criminal court independent of and can be in addition to penalty imposed under GST law. Next, where notice under the same proceedings is issued to the main person liable to pay tax and some other persons, and such proceedings against the main person has been concluded under section 73 or 74, then the proceedings against all persons liable to pay penalty under section 122, 25, 29, 130. Next, for the purpose of this act, suppression shall mean non-declaration of fact or information which a taxable person is required to declare in the return. So you are required to declare some information you have not declared. So above provisions has been summarized in the following table. Okay. First, action by the taxpayer. Tax amount along with interest paid before issuance of notice. Then, amount of payable. Normal case. Normal case means section 73. Fraud case means section 74. Normal case means section 73. And fraud case means section 74. In normal case, no penalty and no notice will be required before you are paying any show cause notice. But in case of fraud case, you are required to pay along with tax plus interest 15% of penalty. 15% of tax has a penalty. Here the penalty shall also be not charged in case where the self-assessed tax or any amount collected as a tax is paid with interest within 30 days from the due date of payment. Next, tax amount along with interest paid within 30 days of issuance of notice. Once notice was issued, you have paid the tax amount within 30 days. Then also no penalty in case of normal case, but you have to pay the penalty at the rate of 25% of tax amount as a penalty in fraud cases. Next, after tax amount along with interest paid within 30 days of communication of order, then 10% of tax amount or 10,000 whichever is higher in case of normal case. Once order was passed within 30 days, you require to pay the amount. In fraud case, you are required to pay the 50% of tax as a penalty. Next, tax amount along with interest paid after 30 days of communication of order. Then 10% of tax amount or 10,000 whichever is higher, that is 100% of tax amount as a penalty in case of fraud case. This is the case. Next, time limits. In normal case, within 2 years and 9 months for the issuance of show cause notice. Within 2 years and 9 months for the due date of filing of annual return for the financial year to which the demand pertains, or the erroneous date of refund, that is issuance of notice, and order to be completed within 3 years from the due date of filing of annual return for the financial year to which the demand pertains, or from the date of refund, erroneous refund. That is normal case. If it is a fraud case, within 4 years and 6 months, from the due date of filing of annual return for the financial year to which the demand pertains, or from the date of erroneous refund. Order will be completed within 5 years from the due date of filing of annual return for the financial year to which demand pertains, or for the date of erroneous refund. Next, any amount collected as a tax but not paid, then there is no limit in normal case. No time limit. But if it is a fraud case, within 1 year from the date of issuance of notice. Next, non-payment of tax, assessed tax, non-payment of self-assessed tax. Then no need to issue show cause notice. In case of fraud, recovery proceeding can be stated directly. This is the summary of section 73, section 74. Next, here monetary limits prescribed for issuance of show cause notice by different levels of officer, to whom the person who will issue the show cause notice. That is, in case of it is a CGST, monetary limit of CGST, monetary limit of IGST, monetary limit of CGST and IGST. That is, superintendent of central tax, in case not exceeding 10 lakhs. Superintendent of central tax will issue the notice. Next, deputy or assistant commissioner of central tax. Then above 10 lakhs and not exceeding 1 crore. 1 crore and remain class above 20 lakhs and not exceeding 2 crores. The deputy commissioner or commissioner will issue the show cause notice. Next, additional or joint commissioner. Here above 1 crore without any time limit. Above 1 crore without any time limit. Above 2 crore without any time limit. Then additional or joint commissioner will issue the show cause notice. Next, section 75. Section 75. This is related to general provision. This is related to general provision. Period of stay of order to be excluded in completing the limitation period. Limitation period. Next, in case charges of fraud, any willful misstatement or suppression of fact are not established for a notice issued in fraud case, tax to be determined, deeming the demand notice to be issued in normal case. That is, where appellate authority or appellate tribunal or court conclude that notice issued under section 74 already issued is not sustainable for the reason, then the proper officer shall determine the tax payable by such person, deeming as if the notice were issued under section 73. Next, adjudicating order issued in pursuant to appellate authority directions be issued with 2 years, within 2 years from date of communication of the said directions. Here there must provide the opportunity of being heard. Next, adjournment of hearing to grant time to person chargeable with tax. Next, adjudicating order shall be speak order. This is not much important. 75. Next, 76. Tax collected but not deposited. Tax collected but not deposited. Here what will happen in section 76? You must they will recover the amount. Here for the issuance of notice, there is no specified time limit for issuance of show cause notice under section 76. Wherever the government, where the amount is required to be paid to government, which is not paid, then proper officer may serve notice to the person liable to pay such amount, a notice requiring him a show cause notice as why the said amount as specified in notice and should not be paid by him to the government. There is no time limit for issuance of show cause notice. At any time from the GST registration taken, he will issue the show cause notice. Next, here determination of amount to do. The proper officer, after considering representation, he will determine the amount. Next, interest and penalty. Interest payable. Interest will be payable. The person who shall collected any amount, he will be payable to interest at the rate of 18% as per section 50. Interest is payable from the date such amount was collected by him to the date such amount is paid by him to the government. From when he collected, from that date to when he is going to pay, from up to that date he is required to pay the interest as per section 76(4). And time limit for issuance of order. Here the order should be passed within 1 year from the show cause notice. And if they want, they will exclude the stay by the order of court or appellate tribunal. Next, order must be speaking order. Next, section 77. Tax wrongly collected and paid to central government or state government. Where if any registered person who has paid CGST or HGST or maybe CGST but interstate supply, but which subsequently knows it is a interstate supply. So in this case where you are required to pay IGST but you have paid the CGST HGST, then you can get claim CGST HGST as a refund and you require to pay the IGST. But whenever you are paying the IGST, you are not required to pay any penalty. as per this section. For example, Ramu Associates, a registered person, pays IGST on a transaction treating the same as interstate supply by mistake, though it was an intrastate supply. In this case, Ramu Associates has to pay CGST and SGST without any interest. Any interest also not required, and he can thereafter claim refund of IGST which was erroneously paid. Next, recovery proceedings. Section 78, section 79. What is the recovery procedure? Recovery proceedings. They will issue time limit for payment of amount in order within 3 months. Within period of 3 months. Within 3 months. Otherwise, recovery shall be initiated. If the any amount was provided, you are required to, taxable person will required to pay within 3 months. If you are not paid in within 3 months, then recovery proceedings will be apply. Recovery proceeding will be initiated against you, and proper officer has a reason to believe recording in writing. He will provide taxable person to make such payment within such period not less than period of 3 months as may be specified. Next, recovery of tax. Recovery of tax. If you have not paid the amounts within 3 months, then recovery proceeding shall be initiated. However, if the government, the option of recovery government due course, they will arrange mode of recovery of tax. Mode of recovery of tax. Here, recovery by deduction from any money owed. Any money owed. If you have any money in the your credit ledgers, then they will deduct from there itself. Or recovery by sale of goods under control of officer. So you will sell your goods, and on that consideration you will pay the amount, or we will recover that amount. Next, garnish proceeding. Garnish proceeding. Recovery from third person. That proper officer may by notice is prescribed in writing require any other person from whom money is due by become due to such person, or who holds many subsequently hold money on account of such person to pay the government. So they will ask for third person also. Next, here every person to whom the notice is issued shall be bound to comply with such notice. Next, where any such notice is issued to post office, banking company or insurance, it shall not be necessary to produce any passbook, deposit receipt, policy or any other document for the purpose of entry, endorsement or like being made before payment is made. Next, here after that recovery by sale of movable or immovable property. They will sell your movable property or immovable property. Out of that they will realize the amount whatever they want, they will realize, and excess amount, if any surplus is there, they will give to you. For example, for immovable property, order shall be affixed on the property till the confirmation of sale. As a immovable property, proper officer shall seize the property and take its custody. Next, whatever the amount they will collect, and recovery of arrears from of land revenue. The proper officer may prepare a certificate in prescribed form signed by him, specify the amount due from such person, send it to the collector of district in which such person owns any property. So if you send your defaulter person to the collector, and collector check the whatever lands on his name from authorization by the government, and said collector or said officer on receipt of such a certificate shall proceed to recover from such person the amount specified thereunder, as if were an arrear of land revenue. Next, recovery has fine imposed by magistrate. Code of criminal procedures, nothing with anything contained in code of criminal, they will go with magistrate proceeds. Next, recovery through execution of declare etc. Recovery through surety, if any person is there in surety, then recovery from surety. Recovery from company in liquidation, where the company is under liquidation as specified in section 88, the commissioner shall notify the liquidator. So commissioner will notify the liquidator for the recovery of any amount representing tax, interest, penalty or any other amount due to the prescribed form. Next, other provisions governing recovery of tax. Here, and payment of tax and other amount in installments. They will provide installment facility also. But for that installment, they will maximum 24 months installments they will arrange. For defaulters, they will arrange it is maximum 24 monthly installments. It is a maximum, but if they want, they will provide 18 months only or 12 months only or 10 months only. That like if they provide less month, you cannot go for appeal for that installments. Next, facility of payment in installments not allowed in certain cases. The facility of payment in installments shall not be allowed where taxable person already defaulted on payment of any person. So installments is not allowed to this person, sir. Already we have defaulted person is there, then they will not allow for installment facility. And taxable person has not been allowed to make payment in installments in the preceding financial year. In last year he has not paid the installments amounts, so that person also not eligible for installments. And the amount for which installment facility he sought is less than 25,000. If the amount is less than 25,000, pay immediately. They will not allow the installment facility. Next, transfer of property to be void in certain cases. Section 81. So where some cases they will, where a person after any amount has become due from him, he created a charge. So on one person created a charge. He has a one property. He is giving that property to other person. He is giving to the another person to the intention of defrauding the government revenue. So such charge or transfer shall be void had against any claim in respect of any tax or any other sum payable by the said person. However, such charge or transfer shall not be void if it is made advocate consideration and plus good faith and without notice of pendency of such proceedings under this act or without notice of such tax or payable prior permission of proper officer. Next, tax to be first charge on property. Section 82. Nothing save as IBC. Any amount payable by taxable person or any other person on account of tax, interest or penalty which he is liable to pay to the government shall be first charge on property on such taxable person or such person. Provisional attachment to protect revenue in certain cases. Section 83. They will provisionally attach some assets. Provisional attachment of property, where commissioner decides to attach any property, including he will attach bank accounts, or attach concerned revenue authority, transport authority, movable or immobile property, or where the property attached as a perishable or hazardous nature, and if the taxable person pays amount equivalent to the market price of such property or amount that is may become payable by the taxable, whichever is lower, then that property will be attached. Next, however, a taxable person fails to pay amount above specified, then the commissioner dispose that property and he will adjust the tax amount, interest and penalty whatever the taxable person is required to be paid. Next, any person whose property is attached may within 7 days of attachment file an objection to the effect that property attached was or not liable to attachment, and the commissioner may, after affording an opportunity of being heard to the person filing objection, release that property. So if any property is attached, you can make an objection that property is not mine, its property is related to some other person, that one any other reason you are provided, then that property will be released by the commissioner. The commissioner may, upon being satisfied that property was no longer liable for attachment, he will release it. Next, attachment of debt and shares. Debts and shares. A debt not secured by negotiable instrument, a share in a corporation or other movable property not in the possession of the defaulter, except for property deposited in or in the custody of any court, should be attached by written order in prescribed prohibition. Next, attachment of property in custody of court or public officer. Attachment of interest in partnership. Next, continuation and valid of certain recovery proceedings as per section 84. This is not that much important. Okay, this was over.